Welcome back. You're joining us on NewsX. Gola Ramesh and Nela Kurti Ramesh were friends for 20 years. They shared the same name. Both came from Nellore in Hyderabad, had 2 children each, and worked as salespersons for Hindustan Unilever in Bengaluru. On Thursday night, both boarded the Kaveri Travels bus from Hyderabad to Bengaluru along with their families. Around 3 a.m., the tragedy struck. At around 3:30 a.m., when the bus carrying 44 passengers was passing on the NH44 highway near Chinna Tekuru village in Kurnool, the bus had a collision with a bike. The bus then dragged the bike for about 200 meters, and fuel leakage from the tanks of both the bike and the bus is believed to have triggered the fire. The fire was then intensified due to combustible material present inside the bus. One of the survivors, who was seated behind the driver's seat, said that he noticed the fire on the window side and immediately alerted the driver. The bus was stopped right away, but the door was jammed. Eyewitnesses say the fire spread so rapidly that the entire vehicle was engulfed within 10 to 15 minutes, leaving the passengers with almost no chance of escaping. About a dozen people managed to escape by breaking doors and windows. Here's what they had to say.
लोग हैदराबाद से निकला, मैं लकड़ी का पुल से बैठा अराउंड 2:40 के आसपास बस रुकी। मतलब मैं उठा, फिर मतलब बस एक्सीडेंट हुआ ऐसा कुछ लगा मेरे को। तो मैं उठा, बाहर देखा तो आग लगी हुई थी आगे फ्रंट में और थोड़ा लेफ्ट साइड में, मतलब लेफ्ट साइड में ऊपर सीट थी मेरी, उधर से दिख रहा था। पहले तो मेरे को मतलब विश्वास नहीं हुआ कि आगे या फिर क्या है, मतलब लाइट चमक रही है। फिर थोड़ी देर में रियलाइज़ हुआ कि फायर है। तो कुछ लोगों का आवाज़ आया, सब लोग सो रहे थे, 2-3 लोग उठे थे बस पे, सब लोगों को जगाए, फिर फायर करके बोला, मतलब गेट डाउन ऐसा फायर। तो हम लोग आगे से निकलने की कोशिश कर रहे थे। ड्राइवर लोगों को पता नहीं था कहाँ पे है, डोर लॉक थे, थोड़े मेन डोर लॉक था। तो वो बीच वाला जो विंडो रहता वो ओपन करने की कोशिश किया, वो भी क्लोज था। तो
3 बजे एक गाड़ी आया था, वो सामने आया था, ये धक्का दिया था। तो क्या हुआ ना, वो बाइक वाला वो मार्केट के बाहर गिर गया, वो मर गया। तो ये गाड़ी है ना, बस के नीचे गया था ये। वो क्या किया ना, वो ड्रैग करके गए ड्राइवर वाला, तो फ्लेम्स आया था।
A CCTV footage was soon released which revealed that the biker was inebriated. The biker Shiv Shankar and another youngster were caught on CCTV at a BPCL petrol pump 3 kilometers from the crash site. The two can clearly be seen as being under the influence of alcohol and had refueled the Pulsar motorcycle minutes before the accident. The investigators have now found that the motorcycle had a pillion rider who survived. The bike was being driven by 2 youngsters, Nani alias Eriswamy and his friend Shiv Shankar. They were travelling on the route from Kurnool towards Dhone when the bus accident occurred. While Shiv Shankar was riding the bike, Nani sat pillion. The two started from Nani's house at Lakshmipuram after 2:20 a.m. They stopped by a petrol bunk and headed for Dhone. Nearly 200 meters before the accident spot, the bike skidded on the road, throwing off both the riders. Shiv Shankar, who fell on the left, died instantly, while Nani got hurled over the 2 feet high steel railing and landed on the bushes. He tried to drag the bike, but it was too heavy for him. Nani, who was an eyewitness to this, admitted to police that he saw the bus catching fire and heard the screams of passengers from a distance. He told the interrogators that he stayed at the accident spot till the police and fire service personnel arrived and later went to Tugali in a tractor that was passing by and stayed back there. Several violations have also now come to the fore which have raised questions as to how this bus was being operated. The probe will determine whether driver negligence, biker recklessness, illegal bus modifications or a combination of these factors led to the tragedy. Officials stress that the investigation aims to prevent similar disasters on highways by enforcing stricter safety standards and compliance for private operators. Now, investigations into the Kaveri Travels have revealed alarming regulatory irregularities. For example, the bus was originally registered in Daman and Diu and reportedly re-registered in Odisha last year, possibly to avoid higher taxes and stricter oversight. The sleeper coach may have been illegally converted from a standard seater bus comprising structural safety and emergency exit accessibility. Survivors reported that basic emergency tools, including mandatory mini hammers, were missing or inaccessible, preventing timely evacuation. The Kurnool bus fire has sparked a renewed focus on regulatory oversight, emergency preparedness and road safety measures for private long-distance bus services in India. Sanjay Sahai, former IPS officer, is joining us live with the broadcast. Sanjay Sahai, welcome. Thank you for being with us today on NewsX. What do you believe is the main cause of this tragic incident?
We will get into the cause of this particular incident, but suffice to say that literally the whole transport ecosystem is broken. So if you start from the regulatory mechanism, I was going through a couple of details today, and there is some regulatory protocol which is given by Ministry of Highways and Transport. Those protocols don't reach the lower levels, which is the RTO. RTO primarily gives the licenses and things of that nature. And only two things they are bothered about in their fitness certificate. So one is the roadworthiness and second is emission. But for that, nothing else they're bothered about. So literally, we are running huge coffins on the road. And it's not a question of hammer being present there, not being present there. There is no regulatory or oversight mechanism. And I'm talking about this after huge amount of experience in lot many years, and I have served in areas where these sorts of highways are crisscross on a regular basis, and the nature of accidents which I've seen would be in hundreds, if not thousands. So first and foremost, both the regulatory agency, and there is literally no regulatory agency, so to say, there are a couple of protocols which Ministry of Transport and Highways, they maintain. Down the line, if you talk of the road transport officer or road transport authority or the motor vehicle inspector, do they have the capability to check the roadworthiness from the angle of fire safety? There are literally no standards also. Now coming to this particular incident, now, couple of things. There is only one door in this vehicle. You go by any standards across the globe and also the standard which the ministry in India has put forth, which does not reach the state government.
Yes.
It talks of exit. It talks of exit. It talks of hammers. It talks of variety of things. But I personally feel that most of these things, the absence is the norm.
Yes.
And if you do an audit today of all vehicles plying on Bangalore-Hyderabad highway, I'm taking it as a specific example, all vehicles will not be compliant to any of the norms which has to be complied with.
Absolutely.
So this is where we stand. Now,
so then what steps are needed then? Sanjay Sahai, what steps need to be taken? As you said, this is a malaise in the system. All buses, unfortunately, are walking coffins. You're saying this could have happened to any of the buses. It could happen tomorrow, day after, day after. What then are the proactive steps that must be taken to correct the malaise?
It happened in 2005. Anantpur private Volvo. It happened in 2008 Kurnool. It happened in 2013 Mehboob Nagar, and 2025 all similar cases, and the whole stretch is the same stretch, 2 hours or 2.5 hours after Hyderabad you start until 2 hours or 2.5 hours before you reach Bangalore. This is the stretch. This is the time between, might be 1 a.m. till around 4 a.m. Now coming to the question which has specifically been asking me. First is we should have the protocols. There are protocols. Those protocols will not be of any use until it is legally mandated, and without getting it legally mandated, it is of no use. The advisories are of no consequence. That's point number one. Point number two, there has to be an audit of these protocols, and the roadworthiness certificate should factor in the chances of a fire accident. So that is point number two. The third is whether we have the capability to monitor and monitor situations or the vehicles of this nature. See, all these vehicles are not roadworthy as far as the Western Europe is concerned, and they're finally reaching a place where all the cabins will be custom built. Only the cabins which comply, or there are manufacturers who will build that bodybuilding, only they will be allowed to function. And the near future, first is there has to be an exit. Second, there needs to be a marshal in the bus. If there had been a marshal, of what we can, in a local language, you can call him a conductor. So if there is a conductor and he sees or somebody tells him that this is the nature of issue which is coming up, he will at least open the door. Literally, there is a driver and the other driver is sleeping. So there is absolutely nobody who is there to react. What is the issue in having emergency windows? Not one. You can have any number of emergency windows. So
so those are steps that need to be taken, yes, to correct the malaise. Now talking about this particular accident, the investigation has of course begun. What should be the priorities immediately for the investigating authority?
See, the priority for the investigating authority, because the case, what does the case finally mean? Case finally means whether it is the responsibility or culpability of the driver or not. Primarily, you are limiting the whole case to that. You are not extending the liability of the case to the regulatory authority or RTO, whatever you call him. You are not carrying it over to the bus operator. So the bus operator, the regulator, the enforcer, the executioner, all will be left scot-free. If there is a big fire tragedy, then you get the builder also. If it's a small fire tragedy, you don't catch the builder. Here, somehow we have got into a habit where allowing all these people to ride roughshod. So the case is very limited to the driver and the co-driver. So what is their liability and whether they will be booked for negligence and or they have been booked for negligence and overspeeding. That is broadly all.
Okay. Sanjay Sahai, appreciate you joining us with your perspective
Thank
on
you.
that story. Slipping into a short break on that note.